everyone, and welcome to Living Healthy and Aging Well. My name is Ken Haglund, and we are broadcasting from the AM 950 radio station that overlooks beautiful Bryant Lake Regional Park located in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. It is another beautiful day here in the Twin Cities, and I am so grateful to be here with you today. And I hope all of you listening are doing well. We are on the air every Saturday from noon to 1 to talk about your health and your life. We cover a wide range of topics to help you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. I want to thank all of you that leave us messages on our radio show phone line. We appreciate hearing from you, and we welcome your comments, questions, and topics for future shows. Also, if you are interested in being a guest on our radio show, please call or text us at 612-999-3426. You can also contact us on our website at livinghealthyradio.com. There you can find information about upcoming guests as well as listen to our previous shows. We look forward to hearing from you. We are adding new listeners to the show each week, not only here in the Twin Cities of Minnesota, but also throughout the country. You can find podcasts for all of our radio shows on the AM 950 radio website, and we can also be found on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and many other podcast and streaming services. You can also watch our broadcast live on the radio station's Facebook page at AM 950 Radio. We have another great show for you today. Joining me in a few moments is Dr. Inel Rosario, president of Andros ENT and Sleep Center, and also Enhance MD Body Skin Clinic. She is board certified in otolaryngology, head and neck surgery, and sleep medicine. Dr. Rosario has been named numerous times as one of Minnesota Monthly Magazine's best doctors for women, as well as top doctor by Minneapolis-St. Paul Magazine. In addition, Women Who Lead by Minnesota Business Journal, and one of the top 50 surgeons at Children's Hospitals of Minnesota. Dr. Rosario's clinics are located in Inver Grove Heights and Roseville, Minnesota, where her team takes an individualized approach to care by designing treatment plans that promote healing and relief so each patient can get back to enjoying their life. The team at Andros ENT and Sleep Center specializes in diagnosing and treating many ear, nose, and throat conditions, including ear infections, sinusitis, deviated septum, and tinnitus. The otolaryngology practice also performs procedures such as balloon sinuplasty and rhinoplasty and offers hearing aids. Today, we'll be talking about hearing health, and we'll have an overall focus here on self-care and awareness of what you can do to preserve your hearing. I'm looking forward to my show today with Dr. Inel Rosario. If you have a question for Dr. Rosario today, there are two ways to reach us. First, by calling the AM 950 radio station, and our friendly show engineer, Dan, will get your call on the air. That number is 952-946-6205. Once again, 952-946-6205. Or you can directly text us your question at 612-999-3426. Now, don't worry if you missed those numbers. I'll repeat them throughout the show. Also, please do not wait till the show has ended to call or text us with your questions. We often receive many of the same questions after the show has ended. If you have a question, many others do as well, so please contact us during the show, and we look forward to answering your questions today. All right, I am looking forward to talking with my guest today, Dr. Inel Rosario, president of Andros ENT and Sleep Center. Doctor, welcome to the show.
Great. Good morning. Thank you. Nice to have you with and to be back again.
Yes. We had you previously, and I know we had a lot of people contact us, and I think contact you with questions. This is an important area. You have the work you do really impacts the quality of life for people, and it's just great all the work that you are doing to help people. All right, before we get into our topic today about hearing health, please tell us about yourself and what inspired you to pursue your current life's work.
Well, in thinking about this, what came to mind, first of all, is that I've been practicing for 26 years. And I'm going, where did those 26 years come and go? So I'm board certified in ENT and sleep medicine, as Ken said earlier. I'm originally from the Bahamas, but I've lost most of my accent because I came here for college at McAllister and did my medical school training at the University of Minnesota and then ENT and sleep medicine in Milwaukee. I grew up in a household where education was not, or finishing high school was a rarity. And I took a liking to medicine and would often be the person, even as a middle schooler, that the medical questions were directed to. So I think I was predestined to go into medicine. And certainly having family members that were with some degree of illness and didn't quite understand the medical system and my own interaction with the medical system, I really wanted to become a physician where I could deliver care in a way that I'm communicating with patients of any age group and certainly any educational level. I like explaining it to patients no matter what their background is in a manner that they understand. So that's definitely been my passion, is to deliver medicine, healthcare in a compassionate way that is understandable by all.
And that is one of the problems I know in surveys about healthcare. That people say, I don't understand, the
Lingo.
right. Well, the primary care provider comes in, and it could be any profession. It could be nurse practitioner, PA, doctor, and the conversation, which is so brief typically because there's not a lot of time for a patient to get out what they want to talk about. And I've heard that the frustration patients have is that the doctor kind of talks over their head because they're just, they're very smart and they've got a lot of lingo and jargon, and sometimes it's just not understood well by patients. So it's a reason, one of the reasons why your practice is growing, and is because you help people understand where they're at. And because the other side of it then is compliance. The
Yes.
biggest problem with patients is compliance, and I think part of it is they just don't quite understand, during those 15 minutes or 7 minutes or 5 minutes, whatever they have, just exactly what the plan of care is. It's a lot to convey in a short period of time.
Absolutely. It creates a lot of stress on both sides.
Yeah.
Stress on the patient's side and stress on the physician's side, because we're constantly under the gun, so to speak, of no, you need to move this faster, get this patient seen in and out, and patients don't want to wait. Which for me, I'm still struggling with that balance, because you'll get a patient that really needs the time, and so you're taking it from one patient to the other to make sure you explain. But then if you keep someone waiting, they get upset. And so I just tell patients, listen, I respect your time, and know that even if I have to call you at home, we're going to get, to the bottom of it, because I wouldn't want it to happen to me where if I've got a question for the doctor, it's not getting explained. But it's a business, and medicine more and more. Patients treat it like a business. Who we're working for treats it like a business. And so there are definite time constraints, especially because insurance treats it like a business. So,
Right.
Depending on actually for all of the insurances, I'd say that is for sure the biggest stress and what has made the time crunch so real, because to stay in business and be able to take care of anyone, you have to respect that time restraint, because you're not getting reimbursed even close to what it really needs to take care of the patients well. So
Right.
it's complex.
No, it is, and I wish really, the provider side understands that, because that's how they get paid. But I don't necessarily think the consumer or the patient side necessarily understands that, and it's tough, because you're right. So much of the communication, at least in my world, is education. You're trying to
Yes.
educate people, and so often they want the pill. I mean, they want the quick solution, and many times, and I know you're very holistic in your approach and your care for your patients. They want information, but they don't they don't want to have to work hard on actually taking care of things. And I know part of the conversation today I want to talk about is prevention, because hearing is so much about prevention. But many times we find in healthcare is that language is a barrier. It's not the first language a lot of times. And like I said, it's very complicated, and the conversations can go over a patient's head. And again, they're stressed out. They're uncomfortable sometimes even talking about their situation. So you got all these factors.
Yes.
So you got the bell curve of all these different factors, and then you've got the reimbursement program, which has everybody in a box.
Yeah, and it says you could spend as long as you want, and we're going to give you $25.
Right. They just assume it's going to be 7.5 minutes.
Yes.
And so I just we got the music going to cue us out here, but there's just so many things to talk about. We'll move on here to hearing, because that's the important thing here. But it's time for a short break, folk. We'll be right back to continue our conversation on hearing health with Dr. Ainel Rosario, president of Andros ENT and Sleep Centers, and they're located in Inver Grove Heights and Roseville, Minnesota. And today we're talking about the cornerstones of hearing health. And if you have a question for us, please give us a call, 952-946-6205, or text us at 612-999-3426. I'm Ken Haglund, and you are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well. Okay, welcome back, folks. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about helping you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. My name is Ken Haglund, and joining me today is Dr. Ainel Rosario, president of Andros ENT and Sleep Centers, and they're located in Inver Grove Heights and Roseville, Minnesota. Just where her clinics take an individualized approach to care by designing treatment plans that promote healing and relief so each patient can get back to enjoying their life. And today we're focusing on hearing. This is National Hearing and Speech Month, and so we're focusing our conversation on that. If you have a question for Dr. Rosario, please call us at 952-946-6205 or text us at 612-999-3426. Dr. Rosario, we should also let our listeners know if they have questions for you or want more information about your practice, what's the best ways for them to get a hold of you and get more information?
So absolutely, they can go on the website at www.andros.ent, so ANDROS. It's that big island in the Bahamas, ent-sleep.com. So androsent-sleep.com, or call us at 651-888-7800.
All right. And we'll give that information out throughout the show, folks. If you missed it, don't worry. You'll hear it several times. All right. So last segment, we were getting ourselves set up to talk about hearing, and both you and I experienced we wish we had more time with patients and the family, and just such a support network that goes into taking care of people, and it's a tough thing these days. But we're going to focus here on some things to help educate our audience on hearing and things they can do and be aware of. So let's talk about hearing loss and what are some of the things that are implicated like that you mentioned was memory is affected by hearing loss. So take us away here on some of the things you want to talk about.
Absolutely.
With hearing.
Well, I think the thing I'd like to start off with in focusing on is so often I will have a patient come into the office and we'll talk about getting a hearing test. So who should have a hearing test for starters? It's anyone over 55 should have at least a hearing screening test. If you have ringing or noise in your ears, tinnitus, which is you hear music, chickadee is something that nobody else hears, and it's in your ear. or you hear, some people will feel like they hear their heartbeat or a pulsation in their ear. If you have a sense that you can hear on one ear more than the other, or if you're feeling like in conversations you're needing to have things repeated, or your family is complaining that you're not hearing them well, or they need to repeat things for you. So, any of those would be indications to, first of all, get your hearing tested. So, starting with the age, and then also then going to symptoms of tinnitus, noted hearing loss by you or other family members, and certainly having anything that's one sided. That's much more of an urgent. In fact, sometimes when it is one sided ringing or noise in the ears or one sided hearing loss, then we're often having to do an MRI scan of the head and the inner ear to see that there's not a growth or tumor that's causing that difference. I'd also like to emphasize that don't wait. Like so often, I'll have a patient that comes in and we've identified that they have hearing loss, and say it's the routine, I have hearing loss just because of aging. So as we age, our muscle tone goes down, our skin sags a little bit. The nerve of hearing essentially kind of wears out for a lot of us. And in it wearing out, it often emits a sound that we consider tinnitus. But for some patients, they really don't have a whole lot of tinnitus. They just have the hearing loss. And so as you get that hearing loss, a lot of times then patients will go, oh, I'll talk about that later. I can't add one more thing. And I think a big part of this show is to emphasize you do need to add that one more thing because it is a part of that foundation of health. Like when you are not hearing well, it's not just safety and spousal happiness, but it's also brain happiness and brain health because your hearing, your ears are your windows to your brain and absolutely keeps your brain stimulated. So if you even think of the amount of work your brain is doing right now listening to us, it's that sound is coming in. One area of your brain is going, oh, I heard that. And those string of words made sense. Another area of your brain is going, have I heard that before? How does that make me feel? So you're getting some emotions. Another area of your brain is going, how would you like to respond? So you get muscle movement. Some of you may be nodding right now, where there's the muscular system involved. And then another area of your brain is going, well, what are you going to say? And so you then have to conjure up a lot of different mental skills to be able to spew out words that make sense. And at the same time, you have to remember what you just said because you're having a conversation. So hearing and communicating stimulates more area of your brain than any of the other senses. Something can walk right by you visually and doesn't spew anything. Like you could literally, something could be in front of your face and you miss it. It doesn't stimulate you the way hearing does. So I think for most patients, when you look at what is scariest, most people won't say it's a cancer. They'll say losing my mind, right? Memory
Right,
loss.
that's right.
So if that scares you the most, then you can't put off the hearing. You've got to treat your hearing not like, well, when it gets really bad. And it's like, well, when it gets really bad, those nerve cells are already dead. It's like watering a dead stick. No, you want to stimulate the brain now. So that would be my big takeaway.
Okay. Well, and one of the problems, too, is that people don't realize they're having hearing loss because they don't realize that they're not aware necessarily that they're losing that hearing. It's other people that will indicate to them. But I think part of the problem, too, is it's just not an obvious thing to people initially.
Yeah. Sometimes it can be very gradual.
Yeah.
And so they're not quite aware of it. And it depends on who they're around. So if someone who lives alone, it may take them a lot longer to realize that this is a problem because they can turn up the TV for as loud as they need to, and it's not bothering anyone. So yes, there can definitely be that it's how do you sense that there is that loss? But I would say the vast majority is more denial, where people will feel that if they get hearing aids, it's a sign of aging.
Sure.
And it is in a way, but I point out that even young kids have hearing loss, and you look much older if you miss the punchline than if you were able to hear it and respond.
That's very true. Well, we'll talk about that because there's a big important issue with young people these days with all the technology. All right, folks, it's time for a short break. We'll be right back to continue our conversation on hearing health with Dr. Ainel Rosario, president of Andros ENT and Sleep Centers located in Inver Grove Heights and Roseville, Minnesota. If you have a question, please give us a call, 952-946-6205, or text us at 612-999-3426. I'm Ken Hageland, and you're listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well. Welcome back, folks. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about helping you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. My name is Ken Hageland, and joining me today is Dr. Ainel Rosario, president of Andros ENT and Sleep Centers, located in Inver Grove Heights and Roseville, Minnesota. And this is where her clinics take an individualized approach to care by designing treatment plans that promote healing and relief so each patient can get back to enjoying their life. And today we're focusing on hearing because it's National Hearing and Speech Month, and so we're focusing our conversation there. But before we return to our conversation with Dr. Rosario, I want to mention this radio show is brought to you in part each week by Minnesota Hospice. Minnesota Hospice is an independent, locally owned medical practice serving our Twin Cities communities with comprehensive end-of-life health care. The team at Minnesota Hospice provides patients and family members with award-winning end-of-life healthcare services. Hospice brings compassionate medical, social, emotional, and spiritual services to your home with typically no cost to you or your family. Please do not wait to learn how hospice care can benefit you and your loved ones. If you have any questions regarding end-of-life care or support, please contact the compassionate team of experts at Minnesota Hospice. They are available to answer your questions 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 952-898-1022. Once again, their number is 952-898-1022, or visit them online at minnesotahospice.com. Okay, let's return to our conversation with Dr. Rosario. Doctor, how can our listeners contact you with questions or if they want more information?
Absolutely. They can reach out to me at Andros ENT and Sleep Center at 651-888-7800. So 651-888-7800, or they can check us on the website at www.androsent-sleep.com.
That's right. Andros, ANDROSENT hyphen or dash sleep.com. All right. Hearing. Boy, how do we protect our hearing, doctor?
Well, it starts very young.
Yeah.
And, you and I were talking at the break as to the increased need for stimulation, and everything needs to be louder. And certainly in my day, you carried a boom box, and there weren't all the earbuds and direct sound. So, overall, less hearing loss, less tinnitus, because the sound was away from being directly in the ear canal. Now, today, most people will, even for their cell phone, have some type of earbuds or something that's fitting in the ear for hearing. So instead of that sound dying or being less intense before it gets to the eardrum, it's now getting to the eardrum, getting to the inner ear, much more intensified. And so we'll see more hearing loss even in younger children, or younger adults. So definitely protecting our hearing starts with decreasing our noise level. Generally, if you're wearing an earbud, I tell you to put it behind the ear if at all possible, so it's sitting on the bone behind your ear, that mastoid. and not being directly amplified through the eardrum and all the middler spaces, kind of components that make sound even louder. So just having it hang behind the ear, or almost talking on your cell phone more often in a speaker mode as opposed to it's right up to your ear, just trying to decrease the intensity of sound. Certainly, sleep is important. So getting your adequate amount of sleep, that 6+ hours a night. Your diet is important. The B complex vitamins are really important in health of the inner ear, especially when somebody has tinnitus, where they have the ringing in the ears. We really like to emphasize hydration, the B complex vitamin D, vitamin C, just for that inner ear health. And then using ear protection. So if you're going to go mow the lawn, put on some headphones. They're noise-canceling headphones. For the younger people, if you're going to party, then you may want to, if you forget your earphones or ear plugs at home, just going in the bathroom and taking a piece of tissue and putting it in your ear in a fashionable way so nobody sees. But putting something in your ear then helps to just tamponade the sound, which makes it that the next day you're going to also feel better because you're not going to get as much ringing for having had that noise exposure. So definitely when you're going to be in any environment where you have to raise your voice in order to be heard, think of putting something in, all of a sudden happening, plug your ears with your fingers, but just protecting the level of noise that you're actually getting exposed to. Drills, all our summer projects that come on, we're building, put in some earplugs.
Yeah, I see more and more people, when they're mowing their lawn, they've got the noise-canceling headphones on now, and they have eye protection. We've come a long way in terms of some of the safety, but I think, I'm not sure if even parents know this as much, but for example, on an iPhone, if you go into settings and go into sounds and haptics, they actually have a headphone safety option that you can click on that, and it can tell you what the decibel levels are that would be going through your headphones, between 75 decibels and 100. So you can change that. And as we talked before on the break, when I can walk by people and I can hear what they're hearing on their
too loud
on their AirPods, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that's just got to be so damaging. And of course, you pull up next to a car in a stoplight, and you can just feel the bass of the car next to you because they got the music so loud, and you think, wow, that's just so detrimental for long-term hearing health. And I just don't think they have any idea. But they're young, of course, they're immortal, so they're going to live forever, and everything's going to function great forever. And they don't realize some of the damage that they're causing, which is why we want to do this show, to let people know how important it is to. Prevention really is so important in hearing. It's probably one of the most important things people can do is just preserve the hearing that they have.
Absolutely, because a lot of your hearing loss will also be family history related that you cannot control. And so, doing all the other things that you can to, decrease your noise exposure, taking care of your diabetes, taking care of your blood pressure, your cholesterol, all of these other medical conditions cause narrowing to the blood vessels that affect your inner ear and will cause more hearing loss if you have blood pressure that's poorly controlled, if you have cholesterol that's poorly controlled. So truly taking care of your general body health will also help your hearing as well.
Wow, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
But that's interesting but that kind of makes sense. Just having general health improves so many things as a secondary benefit.
Absolutely.
So that's very important. We talked about so I know we've got about 4 minutes in this segment. Do we want to talk about hearing aids at all? Because you provide hearing aids to your patients, and I know there's so much technology that's changing. I remember back years ago, these were larger devices that you put on your ears. Now you can't hardly even see people that have hearing aids in, and they're connected to their phones. And tell us about some of the technology that you utilize in your practice.
Well, it's definitely been an explosion of hearing aids, and we thankfully also have been established, get some of the patients who purchase stuff on the radio or a TV ad. And I'm torn in that I'm glad that there are the ads out there, in that it does make people aware of their hearing loss and wanting to do better for their health. But I'm not so happy in that the quality of what's often given, and that it is downplayed as to the medical condition that hearing loss is. It really isn't just, here, let me send this to you in the mail and you're good. Because if it was that simple, great, but it is not. And there are multiple different frequency that a person hears at, and you really do need to see that audiologist or your hearing instrument dispenser and have someone who really knows what they're doing go through and match. If you're going to do something, get it matched for your hearing loss so you don't damage your hearing more. And more importantly, you don't get frustrated that, oh, well, these don't work, when it's, in fact, they weren't programmed right. And for me, that's always been a big positive thing, where I just last week had a gentleman that came in and for our Scott Hagens, our hearing instrument dispenser, and he literally called me up to say, my hearing aids have never worked. I was having them sit in the drawer. Thank you for telling me to bring them in, because I thought I just needed new hearing aids or nothing could help me. And with the right programming, these are amazing. Like, he took the time out of his day to call me about hearing aids he'd had for 3 years that he hadn't worn. So at our clinic, we carry all the different manufacturers. So I don't have a contract with any one manufacturer. It really is, for this patient, what is your hearing loss? What makes most sense for you? Because all of them have a slightly different technology. Yes, you can have them that's rechargeable and Bluetooth and noise kind of reduction. So you can wear them at a baseball game. You can wear them with the rooftop down. Many of the different manufacturers will have that. It really is personalizing for the patient the type of loss they have and how well we can program for their high frequency, low frequency, mixed hearing loss to suit their needs. So I think it's really important to go to a specialist that is, in a way, I'd say unbiased, but also has the knowledge and the experience in being able to match, to verify your hearing level and directly match your hearing loss based on the devices, or to match your hearing loss accordingly.
Okay.
So not just, this is all we sell, this is the only brand, but really looking, from a wide spectrum. We also sell earlens, which are one of the kind of semi-implantable hearing aids. We will have some commercials coming out with one of the conductors for the Minnesota Chamber Orchestra that had conventional hearing aids, and his description to me was, this is like going from black and white TV to color.
Oh, my gosh.
Just the improvement
just
in hearing, yes.
Wow. Well, we got more to talk about. It's time for a short break, folks. We'll be right back to continue our conversation on hearing health with Dr. Ainel Rosario, president of Andros ENT and Sleep Centers, and they're located in Inver Grove Heights and Roseville, Minnesota. If you have a question, please give us a call, 952-946-6205, or you can directly text us your question at 612-999-3426. I'm Ken Hageland, and you are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well.
Take it apart by hand. Think before you scrap. Think of the energy and greenhouse gases saved when someone repurposes your old cabinets, fixtures, and lumber. Think of all the resources saved by diverting those building materials from the landfill. Better Futures Minnesota makes it happen for you. Hennepin County residents and public entities, funds are available to make the environmentally responsible alternative comparable to a typical demolition. For more information, check out betterfuturesminnesota.com. That's betterfuturesminnesota.com or call 612-351-8650. And don't forget to shop the Reuse Warehouse in Minneapolis.
Do you believe in ghosts? Ever wondered if aliens from other planets visit the Earth? Have you ever thought about whether Bigfoot is real? My name is Greg Bakken, and on my new show, Ghostbox Radio, we'll have these conversations about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, or just the unusual, bringing together guests who are experts in these fields. Join me every Sunday at 4 p.m. for Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken on AM 950, even if you're a skeptic.
Welcome back, folks. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about helping you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. And this show is all about quality of life here today. We really are working on that to give you more information. My name is Ken Haglund, and joining me today is Dr. Inel Rosario, president of Andros ENT and Sleep Centers. And her clinics are located in Inver Grove Heights and Roseville, Minnesota. And just so you know, her clinics take an individualized approach to care by designing treatment plans that promote healing and relief so each patient can get back to enjoying their life. And today we're focusing on hearing. And if you have a question, you got to dial quickly here because we're at the last segment. You can call us at 952-946-6205, or you can text us your question at 612-999-3426. Dr. Rosario, how can our listeners contact you if they have more questions or want more information?
So they can go to our website at www.andros, A-N-D-R-O-S, E-N-T for ear, nose, and throat, -sleep.com, or call us at 651-888-7800.
All right, we've just got a few minutes left here in the show, and I want to go back to what we were talking about last segment with the hearing aids. That's such an important area, and I didn't quite understand it since I don't have hearing aids, I don't use hearing aids, and neither does my family. But as you were going through talking about all the different issues involving frequencies and different manufacturers and those kind of things, I was thinking back to a friend of mine who decided that he needed to get cheaters, and he went to the convenience store or just a local area and got these things off the rack, and because he said they're all the same. And we were talking, he said, same way with hearing aids. If I need hearing aids, I'll just go order them online. And you illuminated us just this last segment how no, that is not what you want to do. It really starts with a hearing exam or hearing assessment to really understand what type of hearing you're trying to improve on. And maybe we could talk a little bit more about that newer technology, which you just briefly talked about at the end of last segment, that's kind of a game changer for some people in terms of what they can experience now with this new technology.
Absolutely, Ken. So wanting to emphasize getting hearing aids is not at all like getting a pair of cheaters. So the cheaters in your vision, your eyes are not quite seeing different frequencies. It makes things bigger. That's it.
Right.
From a hearing standpoint, you ideally want to have a hearing test in a soundproof booth to see which of the frequencies you're having a problem with. So that's why it's important to get that test, and then it's important to have a device that only amplifies or only increases the frequency that you're having a problem in. So if a device, like if it's a cheater, quote unquote, and you put that device in and it amplifies across the board all your sounds, you're going to cause damage to your lower frequency that might be normal for you, or that might just make it uncomfortable for you to wear. Mm-hmm. And so, if you only have a loss, so you hear speech from about 500 to 4,000 hertz. Mm-hmm. So if you have a hearing loss that's only at 3,000 and 4,000 hertz, but this cheater that you have in your ear is also amplifying sounds of the other frequency, it's not going to be very tolerable, and it may cause damage there. So you really do want a hearing aid that is truly a hearing aid and that is selectively programmed to match for your different frequency and amount of loss. So one frequency might need a lot more help than another frequency. And also for your hearing aids, if they are programmed correctly, many of them have what's called a tinnitus protocol, which can be programmed to help decrease that noise in your ear that you're getting. And so you not only get better hearing, but you get lessening of the noise. The ear lens hearing aids, that's what we were talking about earlier. It's ear lens. That technology, does require a physician. So I'm making a cast, essentially, of the eardrum. That cast is then sent to the company's manufacturing site, where specific for that patient, a hearing aid is made. When they come back in, I'm putting their particular hearing aid, and it's made for the right and left ear as well. So you can't even change ears. It's like, no, the one that's for your right ear is truly for your right ear. So there's a part that goes and sits right on the eardrum, and then wirelessly you're looking like you're wearing hearing aids outside. Because of placement and the technology, the sound quality and some people wear hearing aids, they might say, oh, all the sounds sound the same. This separates that out. So your crispness of sound, your ability to differentiate what is being said goes off the chart. So it's been definitely a game changer especially for people who rely on discrimination, like the ability to understand different words.
Right, right. Well, I think about, I just read an article that people more and more are watching TV with subtitles because they can't, the sound is incredible. I mean, what we have technology-wise for sound bars and all these things now with the streaming services and TVs, but more and more people are struggling to hear the dialogue. Yeah. It's like there's
that's the discrimination.
Right. Okay. So that's what I was thinking is that you want to be able to pull out those sounds.
Correct.
And if you by just turning it up by quote unquote magnifying it,
right,
you're still
that's your cheater.
That's the cheater approach, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We've got a minute left here. So what I'm hearing is that people really need to contact you. I mean,
absolutely.
This is both preventative, but it's also setting the stage then for if they do need something, some devices or hearing aids or whatever it is, to get it done right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's important. You're, again, going back to why is hearing important? So it is not just because I'm going to get this cheater.
Right.
This is my memory. This is my health. So when you see it as a part of your health, you're going to guard it that way. Yeah. You're going to take care of it. You're going to establish that relationship with your doctor because it does affect everything else. And, certainly as we age and we're doing aspirin and Motrin and ibuprofen, all those other products, know that they affect the hearing. So, probably one of the also treatable and kind of preventable things from a tinnitus standpoint is making sure we're minimizing our Motrin ibuprofen use because sometimes that's the cause of the ringing in the ears. Wow. And so it just all comes full circle. But wanting to make sure people put the right emphasis on their hearing and that it's not just, I'll take something off the shelf.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what a great revelation here about how important, and what I appreciate about you so much is that you take a very holistic approach to people's care and their health. And I think that's so important. So, folks, I encourage you to contact Dr. Rosario about getting an assessment done. All right, it's time to go, folks. We've had a great show. I want to thank Dr. Ainel Rosario, president of Andros ENT and Sleep Centers, and they're located in Inver Grove Heights and Roseville, Minnesota, for sharing important information about hearing health and how we can prevent hearing loss. Dr. Rosario, how can our listeners contact you if they have questions or want more information?
AndrosENT-sleep.com, our website, or at 651-888-7800. And we'll be at the Saints game, so come out and see the Saints on June 11th. We'll be at that game as well.
All right, fantastic. Dr. Rosario, thank you for joining us today. Join us again next Saturday at noon, folks, for another broadcast. And thank you for listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about your health and your life. Until next time, please choose to live well.